Yeah, there's a little brighter there.
It's wasted nights, you piss them all away. Little children in the street, dying every day. We all look for something we can never find, and we all need peace of mind. Lonely wretch on the street, looking for love. $20 beneath the sheets. Is this all she thinks of? We all look for something.
Three, two, one.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Truth, Lies, and Political Bullshit. Where are you, Timmy?
Hey, I'm right here in New York where it's a wonderful 16 degrees.
Well, you're in New York where it's 16 degrees, and I'm in sunny Florida where we've had some great weather. A little rainy tonight, so it's going to be interesting to see how we work from so far apart. This is the first time I've
Right.
been in Florida. You've been in cold New York.
Well, you know
And,
what? We had so much trouble really connecting when we're right in our own city, 2 miles apart. Here you are in another state, 1,700 miles away, and everything's working good.
Well, knock on wood. So far, everything's working good. Timmy, listen, I'm going to tell you about Florida, right? So I'm
Yeah,
in sunny Florida. And I told you before, I never want to live another winter in New York. I mean,
yeah,
it's cold, it's miserable, it's ice. Yesterday was in the high 70s. The day before, it's in the 80s. You go out to dinner, you're sitting by the ocean, you're having a drink. It's just a beautiful place to live in the
yeah.
winter. It really is, right? But I'm going to tell you something about Florida. So I'm staying with my uncle and my aunt, right? And they're having a great time. We're having a great time. And tonight we go to this to one of the American Legion posts, right? And I
Mhm,
love the veterans. You love the veterans, and uh, there's nothing better than American Legion, right? And if
mhm.
you're a son of a Legionnaire, or if you're a member of the armed services, go join your American Legion. They really they need members. They need people to step up and help the Legion live on for another 100 years. But we go to this American Legion, and they have this game. It's almost like bingo, Timmy, right?
Mhm.
It's it's a game where they play 20 hands, and you get 3 cards, and you pay $1 for every hand, right?
Hmm.
And it's almost like bingo. They give you some chips. You put every time they yell out a number. Let's say they say aces of hearts, and you have an ace of hearts. You put your little chip down, right? And if you get the 3 cards, you win money. It's
Hmm.
really simple, right? It can't. How do you screw that up? It's simple, right? And so, so tonight we go to this place and it's packed. There's a couple, maybe 100 people there, and every hand's like 120, 130 bucks. So we play all the hands. I'm down to my last $5, and all of a sudden the guy says 9 of hearts. Woo! Shorty's got 9 of hearts. Then he says 7 of hearts. I go, woo! Shorty's got a 7 of hearts. And then he says ace of spades. I go, yeah. I get up. I start dancing. I'm the big winner. And then the guy goes, oh, excuse me. That's a ace of diamonds. How the hell do you go from an ace of spades, which is black, to an
Yeah.
ace of diamonds? Only if
Right.
Sean Morris wins, you do
Right.
that. And
Right.
I get up, I start doing the juggle. I'm dancing. I got the 140 bucks. Everybody's looking at me, and the guy goes, oh, I'm sorry, that'd be an ace of diamonds.
How do you mess that up?
You mess it up if you're Sean Morris down in Florida, and they go, oh, we got to screw this guy over. But, it was an honest mistake. But I
Yeah.
got a kick out of it because I got up and I did the shuffle, right? Because the
Yeah.
guy next to me, this son of a bitch, he's playing 7 cards. So it's $7 every hand. He wins the 50-50. He wins 2 hands. His wife wins a hand. They got a boatload of money. I give me 120 bucks. I'm already counting the cash before it's in my pocket, and I got the wrong card.
Oh, boy. Well, you do know that, I play cards here with the wife and her 2 sisters. And of course, it's always 3 against 1. And they make the rules up as they go along, especially if I'm winning, the rules change.
Well, I don't know if the rules changed down here, but I don't know how many times somebody got up and did the boogie and was ready
Yeah.
to cash in, and then but I mean, think about it, Timmy.
Yeah.
1 card's black, 1 card's red.
How do you get that wrong?
I don't know. Do you think he said, "Ah, that's Sean from Cahoes. Call that card. Make that card a red card.
Was
Make
he-
it a black." Yeah.
Maybe it was getting donations from Cuomo, your new governor.
You're talking about
Republican
Cuomo. So,
governor, New
I
York.
want to talk about Cuomo because I know you've seen it,
Yeah.
and I've seen it, and the guy's going to run for mayor of New York City,
Yeah.
and you know how much I hate this man, right?
Yep.
I believe wholeheartedly. You could say a lot of things, but I believe wholeheartedly that this guy destroyed my life. And I'm not the only guy I think he's destroyed lives, right? But
Yeah.
to me, he's a piece of shit that
Mhm.
deserves nothing but to be cast away, never show up again. Don't show your ugly face. You don't deserve to be the mayor. Let's just say, for instance, Timmy, the allegations of the women thing. Let's just say
Yeah.
some arguments back and forth, right?
Mhm.
Whether our allegations are true or not. There was a time when Cuomo said, you always have to believe a woman,
Yeah.
right? During the Me Too movement.
Unless they're charging him, complaining about him.
Him,
State
right?
trooper women.
Right. Then all of a sudden it's a whole different thing. But let's just say for all,
Yeah.
shits and giggles, you can make an argument that it didn't happen. Or if it did
Mhm.
happen, it was, a man playing around with who know, a joke, whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing funny, but I'm just using that for an example, right?
Yeah.
Even if you could look past that, there are so many people that believe that this man helped kill so many senior citizens with his policies to take people with COVID and throw them back into a nursing home.
Mhm.
And we know thousands of people died from it, right?
Yeah.
We also know that he had people who were in his staff that covered it up, right?
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
And we also know he made $5 million writing a book about how to be Mr. COVID, how to
Mhm.
take care of people during COVID, how to save lives, when he was actually doing the opposite. He was putting very sick people back into nursing homes with people who had COVID, the most vulnerable people in the world, right? The old, the frail, the sick.
Mhm.
And so even if you can look past the bullshit, and I don't believe for one second he didn't. He's an ugly, rotten man who probably can't even get a girlfriend. I don't even know how the hell he'd get a girlfriend. But even if he didn't come on to those women, and all those women are making it up, and I don't believe that. I'm just using that for an argument, right?
Mhm.
Even if you could look past that, how do you vote for a guy that used old people to make millions of dollars, and half of them died because he stuck them back into a nursing home when the people had COVID, the most vulnerable people. How do you support this guy?
Yeah, and look at, and then he has the arrogance to say, "I'm going to run for mayor of New York City."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How
Okay,
do people in New York City vote for this piece of shit?
it's because they're Democrats.
Well, there you go.
Well, look at, I mean, you got Hochul, okay, who ended up becoming governor when he resigned, okay, and I'd like to see how that battle's going to go. Now you got Hochul trying to throw the mayor of New York City,
Well,
Eric Adams.
so there you go. Is the mayor of New York City now a useless, no good Democrat that they don't care about no more
Mhm.
because Cuomo now wants to step in? Cuomo picks Hochul to be his deputy, right? She's as dumb as a stone. How the hell
Right,
anybody could pick her? You know why he picked her? Because he believed there was no threat, right? How
right,
could she be a threat to him? The woman can't count to 10, right?
right.
So
Yeah.
so now does that woman owe this guy? Does she owe him? Is there a lifetime of I owe you now? So does she throw out the mayor? Now it's
Well, if
not
you
as
right, it kind of smacks of what happened in Russia with Putin and Medvedev. You know, he became the president for 2 or 4 years, and then who's back? Putin, right?
Timmy,
It smacks at the same
it
thing.
smacks in the face of Sean Morris.
Yeah.
Because the governor of New York State decided that he didn't care about my family. He didn't care about the reality of what was really happening. He wanted to use my wife, who was struggling mightily in her life.
Yep.
He wanted to use her to show the Me Too movement people, look, and I'm with you. And I'm
Yeah.
going to go after the Morris guy. And I'm going to tell him if he doesn't resign, I'm going to remove him. How ironic is this shit? You can't make this
Yeah.
up. This is like a soap opera, right?
Well,
So,
the Democrats eating Democrats. It happened right here in Cohoes.
well, it happened to me.
Yeah, it
It
did.
happened to me. But
Yep,
it
it
happened
did.
to me with Cuomo, who now
Right.
is in a position where the governor, who was his partner for how many years,
hmm
can actually remove the mayor. Now, I don't think it's as easy as everybody says. I mean, it's not as easy as, oh, we just remove the mayor, right? There's
Yeah.
got to be a process. But the
hmm
fact that she is making a kind of a conscious, maybe it's not a conscious decision, but she's making a argument very subtly in her comments, like, I'll wait to see what happens in the
Yeah.
courts,
hmm
right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, if the courts don't do it, I'll remove him. Now I don't know how she removes him. And when Cuomo said that to me, you know why he killed me? I told him he was a piece of shit, right?
Yeah.
And I happened to do it on my deck after 6 Heineken and and did it
Yeah.
on Channel 9. I was going through a lot in my life, and I was just shocked that this guy had the tenacity to just not even care about my family. So
Well, I don't. Right? Did Adams actually have a trial? He's
so
just a.
so here's what happened to Adams. Adams got charged with all the same bullshit. When they can't
Mhm.
find anything on you, they come up with this, well, it's wire fraud, right?
Yeah.
Everybody who licks a stamp and puts it on an envelope is somehow guilty of wire fraud.
Yeah. That.
So, right. So they had him on this stupid shit. Oh, they
Yeah.
moved him from a passenger seat to a first class plane seat.
Right.
It's whether the guy did it or not, it doesn't rise to the occasion where the FBI or anybody else should be knocking your door down and arresting you and
Mhm.
saying that you committed wire fraud, you
Yeah.
committed this, you committed that. I don't know if he did those things. I really don't. But I do know that what ended up happening was, and why, I don't know, but it's happened a million times, right? So the DOJ says, we're not going to prosecute the case. Could it be we don't have enough to prosecute him? Could it be Trump intervened because he wanted to use him? I don't know. All
Mhm.
these things could be possible, right?
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
probably.
Trump is not like the moral compass of the world by no means,
Yeah.
right? So maybe he is trying to use this guy to move about his
Well, he's got Rikers Island.
right. He's trying to
They
move
can.
about his
Right.
immigration, right?
Right. So hey, you got 15,000 spaces in Rikers Island. Hey, I'll drop the case. Drop all the bullshit. You give
Right,
me
right.
Rikers Island.
And you do
I
me
mean,
this,
that's
right? Is there a
right. I
quid
mean,
pro
that's all
quo?
seems to me like it's just political deals, but I don't
It
know
is
that it's
political deals.
illegal.
But let's just say I don't know, and you
Mhm.
don't know, and
Yep.
Facebook doesn't know. Everybody on Facebook's a freaking, they know everything, right? I don't know, you don't know.
Yep.
Could it be a quid pro quo? Could it be Trump
Yeah.
saying to him, "I want Rikers Island. I'll let you."
Yeah.
Who knows? But the
Mhm.
point is, they dropped the case.
Yeah.
And in most cases, just like Hunter Biden and many politicians,
Yeah.
let's not forget that Kathy Hochul picked a man to be her deputy governor, okay,
Mhm.
who happened to get caught spending $250,000 of campaign funds on weddings and cars and parties and swimming pools. I
Mhm.
mean, if he did those things, why isn't he in prison? Right?
Mhm.
They came after me and said I spent $500 for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, just a couple weeks ago, they go, "Oh, well, one of the people who were going to testify against him died. So we don't have a case no more." Well,
Wow.
if you did, if that one guy dies, your whole case is a
Yeah.
hearsay case. You don't have no
Right. Right.
proof,
One witness. Right.
right? So what happens? They come in and they drop the case because they say they can't prove it.
Mhm.
250,000. He paid for it with campaign funds for his daughter's wedding.
Right.
Yeah, you
Sounds
have
like
the
the well, the FBI in New York is if they want to go after you, you can. What did Chuck Schumer say? Deep state can
They're gonna
6
die a
weeks
ham
from
sandwich.
Sunday.
Yes,
You know.
but they have the check that the guy used
Yeah.
to out of his funds, campaign funds, to
Yeah.
pay for the wedding. What's it matter if this guy died over here?
Mhm.
It's they didn't want to prosecute him. They come up with some bullshit and they drop the case, just like they're doing with Adams. But
Mhm.
usually, not one person raised a stink about this guy who was going to be the second in command in the state of New York under Kathy Hochul, handpicked
Yeah.
by Kathy Hochul, who gets caught squandering $250,000 of campaign funds buying weddings, buying cars, having
Mhm.
parties, and nobody says a word.
And who is the state prosecutor, attorney general? Letitia James.
Yes.
Right?
So how come they drive? So if in fact Eric
Nobody's
Adams,
above the law. Alvin Bragg,
yeah.
Letitia James, right?
So if they dropped the case because they just didn't have what they
Hmm.
needed to prosecute, but people are going crazy, Timmy.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party in New York City, they're trying to get together to come up with some way to remove Adams. Is it because Adams is not their Democrat? Is it
Puppet.
because they want Cuomo to come back?
Right. They're not his puppet. Adams ain't their puppet.
Does Cuomo have a whole
Mhm.
book that he wrote down of all the dirty shit that's going on? And he says, "Hey, I'm going to show you the book if you don't." I mean, what is it?
Yeah.
Why has one guy become the most popular news in the world and the other guy nothing happens? Nobody
Yeah.
says a word. And that's what bothers me about this dirty game of politics. If
Hmm.
everybody either gets treated equal or you don't do nothing. But
Right.
Cuomo is now what? Is he now the golden boy?
Right. I think he's. I don't know if he's actually filed the papers yet. Okay.
I
But
I
it'd
don't know.
be I think he's just putting his feelers on out. But I'm going to tell you, it's not a big move from going to governor of New York to the mayor of New York City.
Well,
And
what does it tell you? The guy just wants to be part of something. He wants to be in
yeah,
power. Because how
yeah,
do you go from governor to the mayor?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so is it just because he's got this ferocious appetite to be
Well, I think he
to be in
probably sees
power?
it another stepping stone to get back. But hey, I think the all of the troubles that he had in the past probably just going to come back on him again.
Yeah. Well, my personal belief is Adams is being attacked because
Yeah,
he spoke out against Biden,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think he really wants
He's
the
cooperating with ICE too.
I believe that he wants the immigration policies
Yeah.
to be changed.
Well, it's
I,
killing New York City.
it's killing New York City. Cops getting beat up,
Yep.
people getting murdered, pushed in front of subway cars. I
Yeah.
think the guy's a decent guy who says, I want my city to be safe. I want it to be a
Yeah.
safe place to live. And because of that, it's the Biden group that went after him first, Timmy, not the
Hmm.
Trump group, the Biden group.
Right. 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 Yep.
So, I guess that's going to play out and it remains to be seen. But hey, listen, so again, you talk about the summer in New York, it's beautiful, right? But
Hmm.
when you talk about the winter, the name that keeps coming up, Keeler, Keeler, Keeler,
Yeah.
Keeler, Keeler. I'm looking at Facebook and people are just up in arms. The streets ain't plowed, the sidewalks ain't cleaned. There's potholes so big they
Sean,
suck
the
up your car.
potholes are terrible. I mean, Main Street. I had to go up Main Street today, right? I had to drive maybe at 2 miles per hour because the potholes were so bad. And I'm talking between Columbia and White Street. Okay, just it's terrible. There's a storm right on the corner of North Second and Massachusetts Ave. Right, this thing is sunk in the ground 6 inches. If you don't know it's there, you try to turn right, or you're turning, boom, your car's right into that thing. Really, the roads are not any better now. And wait till spring when all this stuff clears on up. It's terrible. I know that they're drilling anchors up at the reservoir. Okay, for this floating panel system. I don't know where they're drilling. I hope they're not drilling into the bed of the reservoir itself. That's an 8-inch clay base, and you crack or break that base, we're gonna have problems. Okay,
I can
but
see it now. They're hammering down those big poles, and all of a
well, they
sudden,
screw in. Okay,
you
they
got.
screw in. But if they're not a seal, what do you think happens to that
Well, I
water?
think if they don't do it the right way and they break it's probably all clay under there, right? A
It
clay
is. It's
bed.
8 inches of clay on the
So you
base.
break the clay bed, and then you start a tsunami going down Valete Street. I
Right.
can see
And
all the cars.
I've got a friend who's an engineer. He knows all about their reservoir. Okay, and he's telling me that if they crack or break, somehow break the seal of that, it's an 8-inch clay base. If they crack it, I don't know how you crack it, but if you crack it or don't you break that seal, he says it's not going to be good for that reservoir. Plus, as I told you off air, there's a thing called silt. Um, when you're pumping water into the reservoir, you're bringing raw water from the Mohawk right on up in there, right? Well, that has all kinds of contaminants and particles and everything else in it. Once it gets into it settles, and over 10 to 15 years, it reduces the amount of volume of the reservoir, and that needs to be cleaned out every 10 to 15 years. About like sort of like dredging and stuff. And so I got a foil in to ask, hey, when was the last thing this was done? Because we don't know. Here's my thinking: is if you're going to put solar panels on top of that, and you got a silt thing, how are you going to clean it in the future? And then once you put panels on, you may have to reduce the volume, the amount of water that's in there. It's like dropping an egg in a glass of water. It's going to overflow the water, right? So if you're putting the weight of these solar panels on there, okay, you've got to reduce the amount of water that's in there. Will
Timmy,
we
listen,
have enough to get through a day?
I know what you're saying, right?
Yeah,
As the sediment gets taller,
yeah,
the amount of water you can put in shrinks, right?
yeah.
I'm going to tell you, Cajones has not had a great history of common sense, right? If
No,
you go down Columbia Street, you come to the old train tracks, right? And you have
yeah,
to
yeah,
go under the tunnel. I
yeah,
call it the tunnel.
yeah.
The little
Trestle,
bridge,
trestle
the
tunnel.
tunnel trestle, same bullshit, right?
Yeah,
So you go under the trestle. Now on the on the trestle, um, you have 6'9", 8'4", whatever the hell the height is, right?
but
So
it's an art.
that's right, right. So you got the height of the trestle. So now
Right,
the city starts blacktopping, and they're not even grading it. They're just
right.
putting blacktop over blacktop over
Yeah,
blacktop, and all of a sudden a truck's coming down. It says 11'3", and the back of his truck ends up behind him, rips
right.
the truck apart, and he says to the city, it says 11'3". I'm only 10'9". Well, the reality is every time the city blacktop, they never measured from the street back up to the trestle.
Right.
So they kept adding 3 inches, 3 inches, three
Yeah.
inches. Next thing you added almost a foot and a half
John, I
of
could tell you on my street, the blacktop out on my street is at least 10 inches because I had to dig down, okay, to put in a water line, okay, and the sewer line when I was working on my house, okay. And I'm going to tell you, the blacktop had to be at least 10 inches to a foot. So you're right. You
Well,
know?
I know. I can tell you, I was a firefighter, and I
Yeah.
said to the city one day, I go, we have a new ladder truck,
Hmm.
and it says it can go under like 11 foot. I forget the number. I'm just
Yeah.
using, but for the argument, let's say it was 11 foot.
Yeah.
I said, well, when's the last time you measured from the ground up since you blacktopped it 13 times without
Yeah.
grading it? Because it's no longer 11 foot. You got a
Right.
foot of blacktop. So maybe it's
Yeah.
10 foot. And
Yeah.
then finally, because we had the problem with the truck and
Yeah.
we argued, they measured it and they had to go up there and change the height
Yeah.
because the height was not as high any longer because the road was higher. So I understand what you're saying about the reservoir.
About the silt seas, there has to be something to tell the pumps that you're at a certain level and to stop pumping water in there. I
Yeah.
don't know what that mechanism
Well, we know that
is, whether it's a float system or whatever, but the silt has not been removed as best I can tell. And I did put in a FOIL request, Sean. I should have it within 10 days. They're dragging me out 20 days like they always do for that chart that tells you how much water overflowed inside the plant when they had that alarm. Remember that?
yeah, well,
Okay.
everything
And
we've asked them for, they have stifled us on it, haven't they?
well, yeah, I mean, they're making me wait 20 days on everything, which is should look at transparency says that if it's right at arm's length, you have it right there, provide it. But they're not doing that because they're not transparent down there in City Hall. Okay.
Yeah,
And it's mostly DPW.
I've never, I think in all of my years living in the
Hmm.
city, and everybody who was once served as mayor of the city,
Yeah.
I have never seen so many people respond. These are people I don't even, let me just rewind this. I used to know everybody.
Yeah.
I could go look at the walk sheets and go, I know all these people. I
Yeah.
don't even know the people in Cohoes no more, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, so many new. So these are people who have no like judgment as I like him, I don't like him. They're judging, what's the city like today? It's not
Yeah.
about the man, right? They're judging their
Yeah.
community. And if I didn't see 100 posts about people totally disgusted
Yeah.
with the city of Cohoes, then I didn't see one. I read them all morning long, and I was like, holy shit, I've never seen so many people upset. But geez,
Yeah.
why don't you plow? And so here's what bothers people the most. You can't be the mayor of the city, standing up at the podium, acting like you're the King Sheba of the world,
Hmm.
and tell people that you got $8 million in reserve funds
Yeah.
as people are driving down the street having their tires popped from potholes that are this thick.
And then
You-
also increasing your sewer rents when you
and,
got
and
all
then
that
increasing
right
they're
money
increasing
in
the price of your sewer.
Sean, I did put a post on out about um, it seems that at 4 o'clock, City Hall closes down and then the communication with the people stops. Okay. There was a water break over on Columbia Street, somewhere near the old Feldhausen or somewhere. Okay. Not sure where, but that got posted, right? And it was posted on the Facebook page as a notification. Here, I got a water break right here on Manor Avenue. Okay. Right around the corner from my house. And they got the whole road, Manor Avenue, they got the whole road blocked, right? I go in, I said, let's see if this is posted. No posting, nothing ever, no follow up at all, no posting whatsoever. Look at when there's a water break, don't you normally tell people, hey, we got a water break, look for brownish water, run your water, some kind of notification to the public that, your water may not be what it ought to be, right? And there's no notices are going on out or they're going on. I haven't seen it other than they're on the one on Columbia Street.
Here's the thing. The city has lost its understanding how you serve people.
You're
'Cause
right.
that's what the job of a mayor is, right?
Yeah,
You serve the people. You're not the
mhm.
king. You're you're
No.
you're you're actually the tool that they use to ensure that their lives are better, right? That when you live in that city,
Yep.
it's a great place to live. It's a place where you can be proud of, a place that there's a response when you have a concern or a question, right?
Yeah.
So one of the problems that you have now is that you're completely left in the dark. There was not one water break when I was running the city that before we shut off people's water and started digging the hole, that we didn't notify all the people in that area. Now,
Mhm.
we put in a system where you can notify people through email, through reverse phone calls. The people have to sign up for that.
I remember that. Yep.
Right. So I put that together with the new website that we put in. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that you still don't have to take the manual way about, because not
Mhm.
everybody has a computer, not everybody
Yeah.
who's an older person. So we would send the police over the PA that would say, hey, there's a major water break on this street
Yeah.
and we're shutting the water off in a half hour. If you
Mhm.
need to move your car so that it doesn't, you may get blocked. We would notify people all of those things so
Yeah.
that because remember, this isn't about the whole, it's about the people.
Yeah.
It's about taking care of the people and giving them the best service.
Yeah.
People call me all the time. I mean, I had a mother get mad at me because I love DPW. I've
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
said that they are the cog that moves the city. I have the
Mhm.
highest respect for them.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean just because they go out at 3 in the morning and it's freezing. So don't firemen. So don't cops. So don't anybody who has a job like that. So I don't feel bad
Yep.
they have to go do their job. And I
Mhm.
don't want to hear, it's freezing cold and they got to do a water break. So go knock on the doors. That's part of the water break.
Mhm.
It's part of telling people. They had a guy who had to go to work at midnight and they dug the hole in front of his house. He had no way to move his car. Now,
Yeah.
I would have said the city failed in that instance. They should have said to everybody, move your car. Now, if nobody comes out and you do your best, oh well, right? But if you
Yeah.
don't even go up to the house and tell them move your car, and the guy comes out for work and he's now stuck, he can't get out, he can't go to work,
Mhm.
and somehow because I said that, people who were like girlfriend of somebody who works for DPW, oh, you're a jerk. No, I'm not a jerk. I'm a guy that
Mhm.
wants to make sure that the people who I
Yep.
serve are served at the highest level. And
Yep.
so the DPW workers are fantastic. I love them. I
Yeah.
think I
Yeah.
think they're the best.
I can look at. They're sort of like the postal workers. Okay, rain, shine, sleet, snow,
Yeah.
winter, cold. These guys are out there, especially the water department.
Do you
Okay,
mean how many
in
times I
all
froze my
hours.
ass off at a fire
Yeah.
in the middle of the winter?
Right.
For
Right.
Christ's sake, I can remember there was times that you couldn't even
Yeah.
get your jacket off because it was covered in
Yeah.
ice.
Yeah, I'm looking and looking in the summertime when these guys are marching down the street, grabbing the trash and stuff. Right, they're walking on that hot blacktop road
Yes.
pavement. That stuff is hot, right? It's probably well over 100. If I see him coming down the street in time, I run in, I grab him some bottled water and bring out bottled water for the guys. Okay, I appreciate what they're doing, even though this is their job, this is what they're getting paid. It doesn't hurt to go the
It,
extra mile and say, hey, I appreciate what you guys are doing.
it doesn't mean you don't appreciate somebody
Yeah,
because you say something. That's the
yeah,
reality. The
yeah,
reality is don't dig a hole in front of my house where I can't get out to pick my kids up at school
yeah,
before you tell me to move a car.
yeah,
Now, I blame the leadership. I
yeah.
blame Steve Hennessy.
Hmm.
He's the clown in
He's
charge.
terrible.
Yes, he's the
He
guy
should
in
be
charge.
fired, Sean.
I
That's my
listen.
opinion. Okay,
I think
especially
Keeler's
for
just
when
as
we
bad.
up at the water plant and all that raw water from the reservoir was dumped into the treated water,
Well,
and
the people
that's
of Cohoes,
not over
the
yet.
people of Cohoes are the ones being screwed.
Yeah,
And let's blame Channel 10. And I'm going to say Channel 10 for a reason, right?
yeah.
Channel 10 decides that they're going to do a story. And
Hmm.
that story should be factual. It shouldn't be the
Yeah,
bullshit media who spins the things the way they want it.
right.
It should be factual. So when a guy says to you that there was a water break in a huge pipe
Right,
that's
30
pumping
inch
out
pipe.
30-inch pipe that's
Yep.
pumping out 300 gallons of water a minute.
Hmm.
When he tells you that there was only a couple hundred gallons of water after 15 minutes, and you
Yeah,
write that in the story like you believe it, what
yeah.
does that tell you? It tells you that the guy writing the story is a clown. He's a fool. He doesn't even care.
Right, and they refuse to go on camera for an interview.
And then when the mayor
Both
says,
Mayor and Hennessy, they refuse that.
I refuse to go on camera. Like, this is your opportunity to say to
Yeah.
the people in your city,
Hmm.
listen, don't be concerned. I was there.
Yeah.
We shut it down. We tested the water. We
Yeah.
had bacterial tests done. We did everything to make sure that you were not drinking bad water. But he wouldn't even go on camera.
No.
So
No.
the people of Cohoes are like, what's going on? Well, here's what's going on. You had 300 gallons of water pumping in there a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no way after 15 minutes you only had 400 gallons of water. You had
Yeah.
3 foot of water, right?
Right.
And then they said, well, we tested it for any bacteria. Bullshit, because the
No.
city of Cohoes can't test for bacteria. It has to
Right.
be sent out to a private company, takes
Mhm.
at least 72 hours before
Mhm.
they can come back. Let me just be kind and say it's 48 hours. But it was a Sunday. It was a weekend.
Mhm.
So they didn't test the water. But did that Channel 10 go back and say, hey, how did you test that water if it was
Yeah.
Sunday and you guys don't do it? And then there's a
Yeah.
way. Now, I haven't been in the water plant for a long time, but in that water plant, just let me explain it this way because I don't know how else to explain it. When they show you a earthquake, they show this round disc, right?
Yeah.
And the machine goes like this and it goes
Yeah.
up, right? And it tells you how big the earthquake is, right?
Yeah.
Well, in the city of Cohoes, in the water filtration plant, now I don't know if this is because it's antiquated or if this is how it's done everywhere. There's a small circle of paper
Right.
that
It's like it's almost like an old record, you know?
right. It's just
Right.
like it's round and it's just like
round
for an
and it
earthquake.
records over a period of
That's right.
7 days.
There's a needle and it goes
Yep.
up and down just like
Yep.
an earthquake, right?
Yep.
And it tells you what the clarity of the water is.
Yeah.
And the reason that's important is because when clean water is treated and then it's placed into the next position for drinking water,
Yeah.
and somehow the clarity goes from zero point 0.1 to 0.5, you
Yeah.
have to say, oh shit, something happened. Either the chlorine's leaking and or not working, or the other chemicals ran out and it's not working,
Yeah.
or we missed something and it's not working, right?
Yeah.
So all the guy had to do is say, show me the clarity test.
Right.
And we know that the clarity test would tell you that bad, shitty water mixed with the
Yeah.
clean water, which would take the clarity and make it
Right.
right. It would decrease it, and that alarm would tell you.
Right.
It
So
would,
what happened really in a nutshell is the raw untreated water from Mohawk River
went into the drinking
that
water.
has all of the contaminants, and that's why I'm talking about silt. Okay, silt is all the particles that's in that water. Okay, it could be anything. Okay, you got you got fish and all kinds of things in that water. Anyway, it goes into the plant, and that water, pretty much the clean water, is about 0.3. And that chart I know is going to be upwards of greater than, say, 2.5, 3. All
Well,
right.
here's what I know. I don't know enough about the silk. I know that even though there's silk in there, I think the issue with that is that it
It's
just
silt, SILT.
yeah, silt. It's
Right.
the same stuff that
Yeah.
when you have to put a silt fence up when
Yeah,
you're
it's contaminant. That
right,
basically.
right. But that water's tested before you drink it.
That's
The
true.
problem with the water filtration plant and the silt getting deeper is that the amount of water that you hold in the actual reservoir
Is less.
decreases.
Yes.
So you probably have to adjust all of your chemicals because instead of having 40 million gallons, you have 38 million gallons, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, but in this case, this is untreated, dirty shit water
It's right out of the river.
right out of the river,
Okay.
mixing with the water that you drink.
Right.
And you and I know that Waterford shut down the water coming from Cohoes.
Because of the chlorine too much
No,
chlorine.
they shut it down the night of the leak because they were concerned about it being contaminated.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So not only did Steve Hennessy lie to the Cohoes people,
Yeah.
he probably lied to the Waterford
Hmm.
politicians as well.
Yeah.
Because again, I know firsthand, and you know first. I know I was
Yeah.
the mayor of the city. I know they didn't test that water.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know that if the news cared enough, which they did, and they did a shit story and never went back. Never
Well,
went
I'm
back.
going to
and
have
tested.
that chart by the end of this month because they're
Well, when you have
dragging their
that
feet,
chart,
and then we're going to put that chart up, and we're going to find out the truth.
yeah, because the people deserve to know the truth.
They do.
Because this ain't the first time that the water's had a problem to me.
Yeah.
This is not the first time that the water had a problem. Steve Hennessy went up to the water filtration plant like he knows what he's doing without a license and started maneuvering the chlorine. And everybody was complaining that they were drinking pool water with chlorine in it, right? So
Yeah.
so the reality is
Yeah.
It's concerning to me that these people are in charge
Yeah.
and we're having these things happen and it's unsafe, you know. Hey Timmy, let me just wrap up with this because I'm going to go. It's going to be a little shorter today. We got,
Yep.
about
Fine.
40. Yeah. um I had to get a kick out of this. Now I don't care if you hate Trump or you love Trump. I could care less. I really don't care, right? But a couple just find it to be funny. A couple weeks ago you had Hochul basically bashing Trump and saying they were going to bring him down and they were going to stop him from his immigration and
Yeah.
all this bullshit, right? And then all of a sudden, you find out today that Mrs. Hochul, who put a tax on all of the people driving into Manhattan
Right.
because she's
Congestion
broke,
tax.
congestion
Congestion
tax.
tax. Right.
You find out today, Trump says, well, yeah, you're going to stop me really well. Guess what? We're pulling your license or your permit or your approval, whatever the hell word you want
Yeah.
to use. You can no longer tax the people going into New York.
Right. Because they
So,
said that the taxpayers already paid to have that built.
yeah, so now she becomes the villain, he becomes the hero because
Right.
everybody in New York is like cheering
Yeah.
him on. There's like 37,000 people on a post
Yeah.
cheering him on. But how ironic that you got to be careful when you throw a punch at somebody.
Yeah.
If you're going to kill the king, you better kill him, right?
That's what they
So
say. Yeah.
so she's is
They say if you're going to shoot at the king, don't miss.
yeah. So she is not the smartest bulb on. She's not the
Right.
smartest light bulb in the batch, right? And so she goes and does that, says all these things about him. And what does he do? He goes in and says, okay, all you poor people paying taxes, you ain't got it. Next week, you're not going to have to pay no more because Trump's pulling the taxes.
Yeah.
I feel like I live in a circus
Yeah.
because
Hey,
I don't.
look, now I don't know if you know this, but the Doge team just put on up. Now, do you remember this Stacey Abrams of Georgia?
Yes, she's
Okay.
a thief.
They just put on out that Doge found hidden there was $2 million targeted for her in her campaign.
Yeah,
Okay.
Stacey Abrams
Yeah, out of the
was
money.
well. What she was is she was a black woman,
Yeah.
and this was the old,
Yeah.
we got to get black people into politics, and
Yeah.
she wasn't smart. She didn't deserve that position. She couldn't win by votes. So they were
Right.
trying to buy her way in,
Right.
filling
And
her
rig
with
it.
money. And
Yeah.
then everybody was like, after she lost 2 elections, like, where's the $30 million that this woman
Yeah.
raised? And why has she still got all this cash? And why she went from living in a modest house to having $1 million house kind of
I
stuff,
think it's
right?
Burt Ed is one of the team in the cabinet. He's coming on out and he's saying, "Look, you're probably going to see resignations from members of Congress. Things are in their wives' names or family members'
Yeah.
names and stuff."
I
Where
think Doge is gonna they're gonna bring a lot to the light. But listen, I'm gonna be honest with you.
hmm
I'm not a fan of all the stuff they're doing. I
hmm
really ain't. I can't stand seeing all these people lose their jobs.
yeah,
And I don't think it's fair to just go in one day and go, okay, we're going to your department today and we're laying off 1,000 of you.
yeah,
I think that there's a way to do it where you say we're going to go in and we're going to look at the funding, and then we're going to
hmm
take all of the things that we believe are misappropriations of funds,
hmm
illegal funds, dirty deals, whatever you want to call them,
yeah, and clean
and
it up.
then bring them to the committee, the Doge committee,
hmm
which is still made up of Republicans, and say these are the things that we have, these are the things that we want to cut. So I'm a fan of looking at reducing the cost. I mean, I pay for it, you pay for it, we all pay
Yeah,
for it. Right? I'm not a fan of waking up every day seeing 1,000 people just lost their jobs,
yeah.
because I've been there. I know what it's like to lose your
Right.
job.
I'm going to wrap up with one thing, Sean. Okay, up in Maine, there was a boy, I believe, was in high school, could not win in the pole vaulting against other students, boys in his high school. So what does he do? He plays the tranny card, okay, or not the
He played the tranny card.
yeah,
Yes, he
the
did.
tranny card, joined the women's team, and he mopped up, jumped higher over over than any of the women, and won the title. I mean, he wiped it. And despite Trump coming out with the executive order, saying, "Hey, no boys or men in women's sports," some of the states are still permitting it to happen.
Well,
And I think it's wrong, and the only solution I think is to find a way to take away their aid for their education departments. What
to
do
me,
you
it's
think?
not. First of all, I found it sickening that this boy would somehow like find joy in the fact
And
that
beating
he,
up girls, yeah,
yeah, find joy in the fact that he was fifth. The best he's ever come in is fifth behind four other boys, right?
right,
So basically, he's
and-
always come in last.
right,
And now he goes in and beats a bunch of young girls who've worked their asses off to be the
right,
best girls. And somehow he stands up on the podium and accepts this trophy. Like I
yeah,
I would
with
be
no
embarrassed.
shame,
If I was his father,
yeah,
I'd smack him in the head
yeah,
because I would be embarrassed that he would even think that
yeah,
that's appropriate, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
and it comes down to parents too, and you're right.
yeah, the father or the guy or the mother should say, "What are you doing? I don't care
Yeah,
if you're gay. I don't care if you're transgender. You can live your life the way you want. You can sleep what you want, but you're
yeah,
not going to take away the trophy from the girl. You're a
yeah,
boy."
yeah,
And it's not just there. Today on all major networks, well, I shouldn't say that. Today on a few major networks,
yeah,
there was an issue where in Virginia, okay, the mother and the grandmother, I believe it was the mother and the grandmother, I'll stand corrected, but either way, there was two adults and a little girl. And they were at some place where they had a woman's locker room. And
yeah. I saw
the
that. Yeah,
grandmother and the mother and the little girl go in the locker room, and there's a man totally naked, his penis hanging out, his jugs hanging out,
yep,
and there's this little girl looking at him, and he's staring at the little girls. And come to find out, he's been a sex offender and arrested several times,
wow,
and they know he's in there, but they say there's nothing they can do. This is the Virginia School District, Timmy.
wow, yeah,
The Virginia School District, the
wow,
grandmother, the little 9-year-old girl. Wouldn't look at 15 years ago, if a man showed his penis to a 9-year-old, he'd be in prison for the rest of
yeah,
his life. Now the guy who's showing his penis to the little girl is protected, and the little girl is
right,
got to deal with it.
yeah,
So
right,
the response to the family was, "Well, you can go into one of the private little
yeah,
locker rooms." So now the little girl and her grandmother have to go into the private locker room. So the gay, trans, whatever the hell he is, I don't know if he was
yeah,
gay, sex offender, I don't know what he is, transgender.
yeah.
There was a couple different rumors about what he was
Well,
and
I'm
what he.
71. I call him a fruitcake.
Well, whatever he is, I call him a freaking monster.
Yeah,
And I call the people that run the Virginia School District monsters because I
yeah.
got to be honest with you.
Well,
I would have to hope that I was in New York and Alan Briggs wouldn't arrest me
yeah,
when I whacked the guy over the
yeah.
head with the bench.
Feel the
Okay?
same way, Sean.
Because the day that my little granddaughter walks into a locker room and
Yep,
some guy's waving his penis at her
yeah,
is the last day he'll have a penis.
yep,
Okay? And
yeah.
and we got to stop protecting the people who are doing the wrong at the expense of the people who are doing the right. A
Look, and
little
I'm going to
girl.
leave you with this one last thought. They now used AI, right? And they can look into your irises of your eyes, and they can now determine whether you're male or female using
Tim, they don't
AI.
have to look into somebody's
All
eyes
they
to
got to do is
determine
look
it.
in your
All
pants.
you have to do is pull his pants down and you'll
Right,
know if it's a girl
right.
or a
But I'm
boy.
just
At least since the beginning of time,
right, right.
we've known what women are versus men.
Even in the animal kingdom, they know that too.
Well, you don't
Okay,
see a leopard screwing another male leopard, do you?
right? No, you don't.
Okay. So again,
Okay,
I don't have a problem with their sexuality. I
yeah,
have friends that are gay and I love them with
yeah.
all of my
I
heart.
have no problem like that
I've
either.
been to
Be
gay
who you
weddings.
are.
Yes, I've been to
Just
gay
stay away
weddings.
from the kids.
I hang out with people that are gay.
Yeah,
None of that affects me. And
no,
I'm going to be honest with you, Timmy. The people that are gay are not the people who are out there prancing around
beating up on women and going in the
having, yeah, they're not
bathrooms
the
and
ones
stuff like
prancing
that.
around trying to
Yeah,
support
yeah,
trans
Yeah.
transgender people
Yeah.
showing their penises to kids.
Yeah.
Most people that are
That's
just true.
that's where I have my objections.
That's right.
You know?
Most people who are just gay men or gay women
Yeah.
live their life. They're
Yep.
good human
Feel
beings.
the same
They
way.
have a moral compass. They
Yep.
care about kids. They're good-hearted people, just
Yep.
like you and I. Now, of course,
Yep.
there's bad ones just like you and I, right? There's
Mm.
bad people out there.
Yep.
But the people who are intentionally doing this shit, that man was not in the locker room because he was a transgender. He was in the locker room because he's a pedophile.
Yeah.
And anybody who tells you that they're in the locker room with a penis in front of little girls because they're transgender, I tell you, they're full of shit.
Yeah, I agree.
They're in there for a whole nother reason. And we need to have common sense approaches to this. If you want to be a transgender and you need to have a locker room, let them use the little small locker room.
Yeah.
Why does the people who are doing what we've done since the beginning of time, why are they the people who are being told, we have to move you out of here?
I got
have to
one
do-
final question for you.
Sure, fire.
How the hell can you and I do a podcast when we can't do it right in goals 2 miles apart? But here I am in New York and you're in Florida, and we have no issue.
In Florida, they have. I think my uncle's got a better system than I have at home because I got the shittiest,
Yeah.
Spectrum up New York sucks.
And Finn's not in Florida either.
Well, I didn't bring Finney down here because he
No.
would have bit the wire.
Yep.
But hey,
anyway,
listen. I think overall, the more I think about it, the more I realize that there's really no reason to be stuck in New York if you don't have to work anymore
yeah.
during the winter.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I go outside. I walked 3 miles yesterday. It was 70 degrees. I call my
Yeah.
daughter. She goes, it's 7 degrees.
Well,
Right?
we're going to try in June, right?
We had a little rain.
Yeah.
They had 6 inches of snow.
Yeah.
What's in June?
Well, in June, I got a niece graduating. Remember that?
You're going to the Philippines.
So I'm going to be over in the Philippines to see her
You
graduate.
want me to carry your
from
luggage?
college.
I'll go to the Philippines with you.
And well,
I didn't hear you say yes, Sean. You can come.
no, you're not going with me. Okay, but anyway, I'm going over there, and we're going to try a podcast halfway around the world. See how
I
that
think it will work, Kimmy. First
depends
of all,
on the quality of the hotel I'm in.
I'm very proud of your niece. It's amazing that since I first met her and
Yeah.
was blessed enough to help in the small way that I can, and now
Yeah.
she's all grown up and she's going to graduate college, right?
Yeah, customs administration, which they check stuff coming in and out of ports and stuff like that. And look at to send her to college for a year cost me less than really $800.
Timmy, you know what? It's not about the cost. It's about the fact that there's people who live, thousands of miles away.
Yeah, 12,000 miles.
That a dollar brings them so much joy.
Yeah, yeah,
Why we have become so conditioned to think
yeah.
that you have to be a millionaire to live a good
Yeah.
life.
Well,
I
sometimes
sent her $20 for her birthday, and
Yeah.
you would have thought I bought her a Mercedes Benz, right?
Yeah, kids over there every now and then, they're teens, okay? They help out with some of the little stores and stuff we do. And these girls are probably, boys and girls, but most of the girls there that play sports like soccer or volleyball or something, they need a school shirt and school doesn't provide it. They'll ask me, hey, can you help me buy a shirt? How much is it? They tell me 150 pesos. You know what that is? $3.
Yeah.
They don't
No.
have $3. They don't
It's a
have
whole different
$5.
life, man. But
A
you
whole
should be-
different world.
You should be blessed. Hey, listen, I wanted to just send my condolence to your Uncle Jack.
Yeah.
Jack Dingley, John Dingley. I mean, he's been,
Yep.
some people call him John, some people call him Jack. I was privileged to work with him.
Yep.
He was the president and I think he was always the vice president,
Yeah.
but he was the guy that fought so I can have the benefits that I retired with
Yep.
today. He was an amazing man. His wife, she loves us because I had to stop
Anna.
swearing. I had to stop swearing on the podcast because
Right.
she'd say, Sean keeps swearing.
Yeah.
I send my love. I send my
He was
condolences.
a mountain of a man, Sean, and he was
a
a
great
mentor
man.
to so many people. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, I became a very strong Union man because of Jack,
Yep,
and I'll miss him. I'll miss him dearly. And to his wife and his family, I send my
yep.
greatest condolences. He lived a good life.
Yes, he did.
You know,
87 years old.
in this world, life doesn't. You know, if you can get
Yep.
87 years, I wish we could get 100 years. But
Yeah.
he had 87 years. He did the job that he loved as a firefighter,
Yep.
and you know what
I
else
think he
can.
did it all right.
Yeah, he did it all right. And so, hey, I'll leave on that note to your family. God
Yep.
bless. Hey, listen, we had a great podcast. Lots and lots and lots of people watching, hundreds and hundreds of people from all different
Yep.
channels. So I appreciate that. You must have missed Timmy.
Yeah, I know. I see all the love there. Sean back, all everything. Sean this, Sean that. I said,
How
why
come
can't I
everybody's.
get a little bit of love?
Hey, everybody, just give Timmy a little bit of love. He needs a
Right.
little bit of love. But hey, Timmy, till next week.
Yep. Take
I'll
care.
see you later,
Enjoy your
man.
time in Florida.
I
Bye now.
will. God bless.
Bye
Take
now.
care.